Hi everyone, I hope you're all well. We're going to have a throwback scripture to our days in the cult for those of you that were one of Jehovah's Witnesses like I was. See if you can remember where this was taken from. It says here, in the final part of the days, the mountain of the house of Jehovah will become firmly established above the top of the mountains, and it will be raised up above the hills, and to it all the nations will stream. And many peoples will go and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of Jehovah, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will instruct us about his ways, and we will walk in his paths." So can anyone remember where that was taken from? I'm sure we've heard that scripture hundreds, if not thousands of times when we were in the organisation. That was Isaiah chapter 2. And basically we were always taught that that scripture applies to this period of time that we're living in now, which they would identify as the last days. In fact, Stephen Lett has announced that we are living in the final part of the final part of the final part of the last days. And so with that scripture in mind, what we should be seeing is this increase in people getting to the meetings, people streaming in for pure worship. They used to tie that scripture in with the other one that we used to read all the time about Jehovah rocking the nations and all the desirable things coming in to worship Jehovah. But actually that's not in line with reports that come out from the organisation from PIMOs, the physically in, mentally out ones. They're basically people that recognise that they're in a cult, but they're trapped. They can't just up and leave because maybe they've got family ties that they're not ready to break, or they could be actually at risk of losing their job or their home. So they stay in the organisation until they can get themselves in a position where they're able to cope with the consequences when you leave the Watchtower organisation. And reports that are coming out from these ones are telling us that actually the attendance at the meetings is on a decline. So since they've started going back after the Zoom meetings, they've had to encourage people to even return to the meetings, and still there is a decrease in the attendance. So bearing that in mind, we decided we're going to start a new little project. Basically, we don't see the cart come out in Brandon anymore because I don't think they like the poor attention that it draws when I bring my signs out. So they don't come out with the carts. I've done cart crashes in other areas, but my new project that I'm going to start, and I'm going to start here today in Brandon, is Auditing Jehovah. So I'm planning to just go around and take an audit of Jehovah and see whether we're seeing this streaming of the nations to come in and worship Jehovah. So yeah, if you watch my little video from what happened today, and then I'll come back at the end and we can go over some points.
Right, so this will be our first Auditing Jehovah video. So they've just opened up the Kingdom Hall. We've got the time now. It's about 9:30, so the meeting should start in half an hour. 9:37. There's one car down there, I know whose car that is. 9:37. So that means that there's two in the hall. Or possibly just one if his wife's not there, so we'll count it for two, give him a blind. So we've got two more. And two more on foot. Morning, guys. So we'll make that 6. Put you on pause for a sec. We used to get about 60 to 70 to the meeting on a Sunday. So yeah, we'll see. Got 2 in there. Something funny that just comes to mind, because I've noticed a few of them have changed or upgraded their cars, was back in the day. I remember JW Suicide did a video about Armageddon carpet, and there was a few in our local congregation that would say, oh, this is my Armageddon car. One in particular that used to always say that, and I think she's had about 4 cars since then. But yeah, still waiting for their Armageddon. I can't actually go up this pathway, it's a private track, so I'm down the public highway. So there should be no problem with me standing here to audit Jehovah. Morning. Morning. You're doing well, no coat? Huh? That's alright, you can go around this way, just come around this side, yeah, fine, no problem.
Time for the Kingdom Hall. Level crossing's just gone up, so I suppose we're just going to see if they've all been stuck down the level crossing. Right, okay, so that's 2, another 2, and another, oh, there's 3 in there, and we've got 1, 2, 3 in there. I had a wave then from Judith, that was nice. I'll tell you all about my issues with them one day. We had one in here and they covered it over. Oh right, 2 more. And I had to let my kids go around there. I was never told. Because their numbers are declining because more people are finding out about the child abuse issues. Yeah, so you see me. Right, so the first car that was here that I didn't see arrive, and I was debating whether it was, oh sorry, that's another 2 that I didn't know whether it was 1 or 2 in. It was actually 1 because his wife came after, so that was just 1, and we've got 1 leaving now. She's probably going to pick somebody up. So I'll have to keep telling you how who's going in and out, in and out. Judith waved at me. Oh no, it's not one for us. Going down to the church, obviously. No. Yeah. Excuse me, just got a bloody nose. Oh, there we go. So that's 2. And we've got 1 on his own. That's not 1 for these. There we go. So in here we've got 3. And we've got 1, 2, 3. Fitzroy. I don't know whose car that is. That black car. That black car, the last one. Your mum Fitzroy. That's your mum Fitzroy in there. We've got 2 in there. and we've got just one on our own. Yeah. Out for the church. Oh, so here you go. Got another one on our own. Just one. There we go. A lot of people coming on their own. I think they would car share. Yeah. That was your mate in there? Guy works at the post office, had a little baby with my friend. Not seen her for a long time. That was Christine. What do you think about your big child abuse case in Pennsylvania at the moment? 19 children. 4 congregation members. No opinion, of course.
This is that one back again, so she's been to pick up someone. So that's another one. Actually, we'll say 2 because I carried her out, didn't I? So she's come back in, so 2. I think that's it. All the regular late ones are all in. They don't lock the gate now. They just lock the door.
Right, so that was the footage from today's Audit of Jehovah. I didn't get there on time for the opening of the gate, so I think there definitely was one van down there with one elder that I know that probably opened up. There might have possibly been another car down there with another elder and his wife. That was at 9:30, so let's say that was 3 people, and according to what I counted was 43 in attendance. There were about 20 cars. A couple of witnesses came on foot, and so back in the day when I used to be at the meetings, we'd have roughly about 60 in attendance on a Sunday. So 43 is an obvious drop in numbers there. Interestingly, we walked further up the road to the other church that also has their service at 10 o'clock on a Sunday, and we counted 34 cars, and when most of them were driving past us when we were filming at the Kingdom Hall, most of the cars had whole families in them, and so you can gauge that the numbers at the church would be a lot higher than the numbers at the Kingdom Hall. So yeah, back in the day we used to have a magazine that we used to refer to quite often that was saying that as time went on, Babylon's waters were going to dry up and the attendance at the churches was basically just going to fizzle to nothing. You know, people were just getting out of that because of the conduct of those taking the lead in the organisation, and also the fact that they weren't teaching truth and things like that. But what we're actually seeing now is the reverse of that. So we're seeing a decline in the numbers of people at the Kingdom Halls, and in my local area I'm seeing an increase in the numbers of people going to the local church. So yeah, that was interesting. So I'm looking forward to auditing Jehovah some more and going to some surrounding congregations. I shall give you the feedback on what the numbers are like. If you feel like doing this and you just feel like just taking a tally of what the actual attendance is, because we know Watchtower's always going to be putting out only figures that show them in a favourable light. If we want to see for ourselves, we need to count it ourselves. So yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing. So anyway, take care everybody. Bye for now.